guys, this is Courtney Carson from Cosmic Clarity Astrology, and I'm super excited today to dive into the Cancer full moon happening on January 3rd. So, I want to start off speaking about some of the cards that I pulled. But basically, when we have a Cancer full moon, we are going to be concentrating on elements of Cancer, which has to do with the mother, has to do with healing, expressing our feelings. It could have some changes or adjustments in our home, in our habits, in our security, in our family, in people that we live with. And so there's some element here of having maybe some type of shakeup happening in this area of our life, or that will require us to focus on that area of our life. So like maybe focusing on self-care or emotional care, or again, caring for our family or being with loved ones. It might, whatever changes or things shift right now will likely require that of us. And I can see that with the first card that I pulled being the Tower card. This is a card of sudden change and often sudden loss, or things devolving, like things falling apart. And I think that honestly, with Saturn and Neptune together, and Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces, and both of these planets sextiling Uranus, there is this quality of shifts. Yeah, shifts, transitions, change, where we're having maybe some I don't know. I mean, with this last new moon, it was squaring Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and it was that Sag new moon, and so there was this kind of focus on maybe something like potentially going wrong that could then have us change our beliefs. And I can kind of see that overlapping with this full moon. I think that these kind of weave together, and there is something that is coming to an end in our lives that is, with the Ten of Wands in reverse, ultimately going to provide less stress or a sense of relief. It's really interesting though, because I asked Spirit, like, what's the wisdom that we're gaining from this Cancer full moon? And I say wisdom because Jupiter is in Cancer, and it's very loosely conjunct this moon. It's 8 degrees apart, but Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, and so there is this feeling of like having a spiritual kind of experience with this full moon because of Jupiter, but also because of Mercury squaring Neptune. It can give us a very transcendental kind of experience of everyday life, something that is more, just like driven by spiritual mindedness and creativity rather than like our normal intellectual, logical mind. This could be like a very healing and spiritual experience right now. And I think that, and I asked Spirit, what is like what is the wisdom that we're gaining from this experience? And I got the Nine of Wands in reverse. And to me, this was really speaking to like giving up on something. And that's what I'm seeing here. As I think part of the blessing and part of the blessing, and then also part of the challenge is like the same thing, because we got the Nine of Wands as the wisdom that we're gaining, and then the challenge is the World card. So there's something with the Tower starting off this reading with the World card. There's something that is ending in our lives, that is wrapping up right now. Something that is completing or tying up in a bow or falling away. And for most of us, I see it as like something falling away that is going to provide relief in a certain way, to just give up on something, or to not have to like try to fix something or try to work on something. There's like this sense of I mean, I asked like, what's the blessing? Got the Five of Swords in reverse and Nine of Swords in reverse. So if you guys have been fighting or stressed or staying awake at night because you're worried about something, I see that just falling away. And I think how people interact with this ending is going to depend on how it affects your birth chart. It depends if you have any planets around 13 degrees of the cardinal signs, Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, Aries, then you're going to be affected a lot more personally, and it might feel like something is kind of ripped away, like the rug is ripped out from under you. But I think for most of us, there's going to be the sense that like something is wrapping up and giving us some kind of relief. So like, for example, if you like had some bill coming up and then you were able to pay it, or something happened and it went away, or you got some random money back, it could provide this sense of like relief or closure, something ending, something or maybe like, let's say, maybe another example, like, I don't know. I just think for some of you guys, it might be a little bit more negative since it is a tower. So whatever ends is going to provide relief. But for some of you guys, it might be scary that that thing is ending, or sad that that thing is ending. And so, but then for some of us, I think it could just purely be relief. Okay. Hopefully this is making sense. So yeah, the World card represents a completion of a cycle and the achievement of something, or the closure of something. It could also indicate traveling. So that is the challenge right now. The challenge is that some chapter has ended and we are approaching this new year kind of carrying over this energy of releasing something. And that's why I see with the Nine of Wands, like giving something up, giving up the struggle of something, not trying to make something work or fix something or whatever. And with the Heart and the Shaman, again, I really see us in a period of needing to heal. And that's what Cancer is all about, right? Cancer is all about our heart. I realized I didn't put the chart on the screen. I meant to do that. Whatever. But basically, what is so interesting about this new moon is that the sun, which is always opposite, or sorry, I said new moon, I meant full moon. This Cancer full moon, the sun is always going to be opposite the moon on a full moon. But what's interesting about this particular full moon is that the sun is wedged between Venus and Mars, which has been kind of happening like the last few weeks. So I find this really interesting because Venus and Mars are the masculine and feminine principles. And when combined, it literally is like the birth of something. So I see the ending here, and whatever this does, maybe it requires some healing, or maybe it gives us like emotional relief, or maybe it represents some kind of like spiritual transcendence, so we can come into the new year like with a greater perspective or greater energy, like taking something off our plate basically, even if it's just on an energetic or emotional level. So I see us like lightening our load in some capacity, and I think that is going to give us enough energy to be able to birth something new with this Venus and Mars straddling the sun, because again, these planets together are the masculine and feminine that give birth to a new creation. So that's what I feel like is happening. We're really clearing the slate, clearing the plate a little bit so that we can have some kind of fresh start. What is that fresh start? I think it's going to be one of two paths, or you could be both of these paths. But the fresh start, I got Queen of Wands and then the Page of Pentacles to describe it. I think that there is some new kind of path for you guys where you're going to embark on physically making something. And you're going to do it from a place of more confidence. So the physically doing something or making something doesn't have to be like the most obvious examples. It could also be like deciding to I mean, the obvious example would be like, okay, creating like writing a book or starting a podcast. But it could also be something beyond that. But I see you guys like cultivating or creating something that has a physical place in your life. That's what the Page of Pentacles represents. So I think that you guys are going to feel like more confident as a result of the things that shift around this new moon and coming into the new year. I think you're going to feel more confident in yourself, more confident in this like potential path. And the physical path, again, could be something beyond just what you create. It could be like an intention that you have. It could be a trip that you go on, something in the physical world, like, oh, I intend to do X, Y, and Z, or have X, Y, and Z. So I hope that makes sense. And then we also have Two of Cups and the Knight of Cups. So some of you are going to be surrounded by love right now, or because of the things that end at this Cancer full moon, there is the potential for in the next 6 months to find some kind of love match, or like a really important new relationship, or like with a person or a thing, an entity or an organization. So yeah, there's a lot of things here, but I think I'm just like not talking that well today. But the overarching message is that something is leaving our life, some kind of chapter is ending. And I think that both provides relief from the stress to just have to be able to give up on something or let something go. I think it provides relief, but I also think it requires a lot of trust in ourselves and like the next chapter. And I think also in some ways it could be challenging to wrap up this chapter. And with Mercury squaring Neptune, I mentioned that I think that this is a really spiritual time, but we could also be kind of confused. I think the best way to utilize Mercury square Neptune right now is not to make really important decisions, not to think that you understand what's coming up for you, but to really listen to your instinct and intuition, to have kind of open-ended ideas and conversations, or like using healing or spiritual modalities or creative modalities, but not trying to like get logistics in order and plan everything and make sure you have, all these things going for you. I think oftentimes, Mercury square Neptune can create a little bit of murkiness when it comes to like logistics, which sucks for me because I'm going to be traveling. So anyway, hopefully it doesn't work out poorly. But yeah, there can often be some events that transpire that cause a bit of chaos with Mercury square Neptune, especially in terms of planning. But it is very good for healing. So if you have a therapist and whatnot, that's a good time to talk to them. So the last three cards we have is the Armadillo, which talks about marking territory, impenetrable defense, and caution. To me, this really speaks. I don't think that this is necessarily a time to be like cautious per se. But to me, this really speaks to the impenetrable defense element of the sign of Cancer. Cancer is the crab. Crab has its shell. It has a way of defending and protecting itself. So I do think that part of this journey right now is making sure that we have like a really strong boundaries, strong ways of protecting ourselves or defending ourselves. If something is like abruptly changing right now or leaving our lives or anything like that, we need to make sure that we have maybe methods of like support in place or protection in place. So yeah, that's going to vary, but Cancer is a lot around protection, safety, nurturing, defending. So that's the energy that we're meant to be doing for ourselves, and then maybe something or someone in our life right now as well. We also have the Chameleon card, which talks about camouflage, adaptation, and clairvoyance. With Mercury square Neptune, I think a lot of us are really clairvoyant right now. I mentioned Mercury's not good for like planning and logistics, but it is really good when it's squaring Neptune to have more of these like downloads and to just kind of know things. So you can trust, if you know that something's going to happen, you can trust that that is likely going to be the case, unless you're just really fearful. But I think Mercury square Neptune can also help us. It can express like a period of transition, and that's really what I see with this Cancer full moon, is something is ending and we're having to go through like a transition into a new start with this new year. And I feel like that's what this full moon represents, is a few weeks marking this like period of transition where we're having to adapt to the things that are leaving our life and the things that are going to take its place or come in fresh. I also pulled the Kangaroo, which talks about maternal, quantum leaps, and direction. So yeah, I feel like a big part of this full moon is it's setting us off on a new direction if we are having something leave our life. If that doesn't apply to you, not every new and full moon is going to be significant, because it's not always going to be aspecting your personal planets. But if it is, if something's leaving your life, know that it's putting you on a new direction. And this is a time to be in your motherly instinct when it comes to you or whoever is involved in this scenario, to take care of yourself. So, I mean, obviously that's Cancer. Cancer is all about the mother, right? So I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to say for this full moon. I don't know if I keep saying new moon, but I mean full moon. So yeah, I think it's a time of transition, and we just need to make sure that we support ourselves and others through these periods of time. And yeah, trust ourselves, trust our intuition. So let me go ahead and dive into what this is going to look like for all of the signs, the rising sun signs. You can check that out down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, comment, hype the video, share with your friends, anything to help me grow my channel, which I am trying hopefully to double by 2027 in following. So I hope to see you, subscribe, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up first we have Aries rising and sun. This Cancer full moon is happening in your 4th house on January 3rd. And of course, the sun is opposite it in your 10th house. And the sun is right in between Venus and Mars, which Mars is your planetary ruler. And Mars is in Capricorn right now where it's exalted. So there's something about this full moon that might help you guys have some kind of download or like a insight or breakthrough in some type of capacity, especially in terms of how to create more of a like compatible working environment, or how to get people like on the same page when working together on a goal, or aligning you and another person or you and an entity on the same path, or getting clarity on your path and where you're headed. There's something in regards to that with this Capricorn full moon that I think is going to be really helpful for you. So something either about how other people play a role and like your compatibility working with people, or again, the mission and getting on the same page about the mission and where you're headed. So some of the cards that I pulled, I got the 5 of Swords and 7 of Wands. So this really speaks to me of like the before energy, because a lot of this full moon, I see it as a transition. And with Mercury squaring Neptune, it's going to help us adapt in this transition from something ending in our life to a new start, which I think is also really representative of like a new year even. So the thing that you are transitioning out of, the thing that's ending, is the 5 of Swords and 7 of Wands. This is you feeling like you really have to argue to get your point across, that you have to fight to be heard, that you have to like shout from the rooftops to get people to really take your opinion into account. So this is maybe having clashing views and opinions with somebody, maybe trouble working with somebody, power struggles, maybe feeling like you have to be defensive at times because people just are not really listening to you, or they're not considering you in some capacity. And it could feel very frustrating, your ability to work with people. And this is any kind of relationship. It could even be a romantic relationship, but there's always something about like working together that is relevant in any kind of dynamic, because we're always achieving things as couples or even as families. Like we're always like doing things together and accomplishing things together. So with the 3 of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles, I feel like this is a fresh start in terms of how you maybe relate to people, how you connect to people, and in particular, how you operate in the physical material world with someone. So maybe you are realizing that maybe you are celebrating some kind of achievement with your work, with your colleagues, and then you're looking to the horizon around what are we going to do next together? How can we improve on what we've done together already, and how we work together in our relationships, and how that helps us achieve these goals. So that's kind of like what I see for you on the horizon, is maybe just celebrating what has been accomplished and looking forward into how to create more cohesion, more collaborative energy, more mutual understanding, support, that kind of thing. Those are the main words I'm seeing for you guys. And I see that also with the 3 of Pentacles and 6 of Pentacles. This literally speaks to collaboration, following your dreams, research, and then the 6 of Pentacles says just rewards, generosity, establishing boundaries. So to me, these cards really speak to you guys being productive with people. Again, I think that there is some kind of goal that you are accomplishing together. And the 6 of Pentacles in particular really speaks to this feeling of everybody pulling their own weight, of everybody listening to one another, of things feeling well-rounded and fair. Because I'm just getting this energy here of like something being unfair, and maybe your point not being listened to, your point not being heard, and the things that you have to collaborate and work together on, it not going well. And now I feel like what's happening with this Capricorn full moon is it's ending that cycle, and it's helping you transition into a cycle of positive collaboration, of equal and just treatment of everybody in the group, of everybody's heads being put together to accomplish this desired outcome in the best possible way, and in a way that maybe even feels pleasurable. With Leo, this Leo dice that I rolled and the 3 of Cups that I pulled, there is something that could actually be pleasurable about the way that you work together with somebody. Or like, let's say you're divorced and you have shared custody and you have to figure out how to collaborate. This is you feeling like you're arguing and really not understanding one another, and then moving into a space of really knowing how to best work together and everyone being fair and just in the treatment of the children and the relationship with each other. So that's what I'm seeing, is something along those lines of collaboration becoming enhanced and ending some kind of cycle of feeling maybe really on your own, or feeling like you have to really defend yourself. So if this speaks to family, then it speaks to family, maybe work colleagues, or maybe across multiple areas of life. But yeah, I think it's going to give you a greater sense of peace within your relationships. So that's what I'm seeing for Aries. If that resonates, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, all the things, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Taurus rising and sun. This Cancer full moon happening on January 3rd is taking place in your third house. And the third house is a social house. Third, fifth, seventh, and 11th tend to be social houses, and maybe a little bit the ninth. But anyway, I think that one of the reasons I bring that up is because what I see at this full moon is that some cycle is ending and a new one is beginning. And for you, I think that there is something happening in terms of your extroversion, in terms of your relationships, the people that you meet, the things that you do. I see you going out on more adventures with your planetary ruler Venus conjunct the sun and Mars in the ninth. So there's a really big pull for you right now to get out of your comfort zone, to get out of your kind of normal routine and meet more people, socialize more, connect more. That's really, I think, the major message here and the big thing that's changing. So I pulled some cards on what is the before and after, because I do see a lot of this full moon as being like marking a transition. With Mercury squaring Neptune, there's something about this that we're needing to adapt and kind of wake up in a new life, sort of. And I think that really reflects a new year anyway. So what's happening for you? What is like the past cycle that you're leaving behind? I got the Temperance and the Four of Swords. So the past cycle that you're leaving behind is maybe coming from a place of trying to be really balanced and resting a lot. The Four of Swords is somebody who makes sure that they have a lot of time in their spiritual world, that they're very, reflective on what their emotional and energetic needs are. They make sure that they rest a lot and have a lot of time alone to kind of decompress and separate their energy and their bubble from the world around them. But what that means is that there's kind of an insulation or a period of often hibernation, right? Where you're kind of like not as much engaged with the world because you're healing, you're resting, you're reflecting. There's a lot that you're processing. You're kind of coming back to yourself. That's ending. So if you've been going through a lot of that, and if it's somehow affected like how social you are, how busy you are, how adventurous you are, how ambitious you are, did I already mention that? Then I see this shifting now. So I can see you coming out of a period of being a little bit more low key or like low energy. And I see things revving up with Venus conjunct Mars and the sun. I see you getting the sense of like adventure and energy and like expansiveness and wanting to go out. I got the Page of Wands twice. So when I get that, I'm like, okay, we're getting some double confirmation here. Page of Wands twice. This is going to represent free-spirited energy where you're able to, like the thing that you're transitioning into is a sense of freedom, space, exploration, curiosity, again, extroversion, putting yourself out there, adventure. And so if there's something that you've been wanting to do, like some kind of new idea that you have, or if you want to go out and meet someone at a particular place and you're like, that would actually be a cool idea, but you've never tried it, this is your chance to do so. I definitely feel like a lot of this is going to bring up like the self versus relationships, because I do have I did roll the dice and I got the 7th house in Aries, and also Venus is conjunct Mars, and they have the polarities going on. So Venus is about compromise in relationships and Mars is about the self and what you want. So I see this like need to balance those things in this new cycle. Maybe in the past you gave up too much energy to other people. Maybe you have spent too much time alone, like whatever. If you've been codependent or like too self-reliant, I see things needing to and actually doing coming into a balance. So I can definitely see that with the 5 Pentacles as well. If you've been really lonely, if you've been isolated, if you felt like fearful around connecting with people, because I kind of see that. I see more isolation going on. But I think that things are coming back into balance in this new year, and you are going to be shedding and transitioning into a more extroverted and social headspace. I can see that as well with the King of Wands. Like, I see that you are going to develop yourself with the Page of Wands to the King of Wands. In terms of like what you're transitioning into, I see you going on some kind of journey where you are going to slowly build up something that you're excited about and putting yourself out there. If this is like you on a new workout routine, this is building more and more confidence in that workout routine, and then like using more energy with it and getting stronger and building that muscle, getting out of a period of maybe being too low key and getting out and physically exercising out in the world. This could also be socially building up a friend group or starting a project, building up a social media following for that project for when you launch it. Like whatever this is, it's this feeling of like developing something that you're passionate about, that you were curious about, that you are, again, kind of putting out there in the world, even if that's yourself. But I'm definitely seeing like connections, networking, marketing, dating, like socializing, meeting new friends. Like that's the energy of this. So you're coming out of a really lethargic, kind of passive period of time in this previous year where you're maybe, again, a little bit more isolated, and you're coming into a much more social, adventurous, free-spirited, dynamic kind of energy. So that's the major transition that I think is marked at this Capricorn, Cancer full moon. Sun's in Capricorn. And so I'm really excited for you guys. If you enjoyed this reading, if it resonates, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, hype the video, share with your friends. I appreciate any support because I am trying to grow my channel. So yes, I appreciate that. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Gemini rising and sun. So for you guys, this Cancer full moon is happening on January 3rd in your second house of finances. And I also rolled the dice for houses, and I got the second house on here as well. So definitely some really strong messages around the things that you own, the things that bring you a lot of stability, the things that are really consistent in your life, as well as your finances. So that's really where we're shedding a lot of light on right now. And I see this Cancer full moon as a time of transition because we have Mercury in Capricorn squaring Neptune, and this typically marks a period of moving from one phase to another and not always knowing how the next phase is going to develop or what's on the other side. So let me speak to some of the cards that I have. I will also say that Mercury is your planetary ruler. So with your planetary ruler squaring Neptune, you guys might feel like you're a little bit more in a fog. It's a good time to be really tapped in, tuned into like the spiritual and creative world, but it could feel a little bit difficult at times to get logistics and plans together. You might be uncertain about certain elements of your life and how something is going to pan out, or how certain things are going to feel in a few months from now, or like maybe just feeling a little bit, again, in a phase of transition, liminal phase, and the confusion and uncertainty that comes with that. You guys might be feeling that more, like a little bit stronger now than other people. But that's normal. So what is this Cancer full moon about for you? So we are marking a transition from one chapter to another. The first chapter for you guys, I have the Three of Cups and the Four of Wands. This is like, I'm just here to have fun. I'm here to celebrate with my friends. I'm here to have a good time, not overthink things. There can be a sense of celebration and often like a shallowness, not in a negative way, but just like a lightheartedness of I'm not going to overthink things. So that's kind of the energy that you were coming into this full moon with. And the transition that it's helping you into, I think in some ways is about like getting clear on things. So if you in the past were like partying a lot or spending a lot of money, or if you weren't managing a schedule or routine well, or if you were dropping the ball in any way, or like not thinking very seriously about your future, or confused about like what's next for you financially or materially, I see that phase of just like throwing caution to the wind and not caring about your material success or like what your plan is fiscally, or the things that are really consistent and routine in your life, even the food that you eat. I can see you guys getting more disciplined, or getting clearer on where that money is going, where that time is going, where things have maybe fallen through the cracks or gotten wasted in the energy of being carefree and like celebratory. So maybe you spent a lot for the holidays, or you ate a lot over the holidays, or maybe you this past year have had irregular income, or maybe you have had you've been going out and like meeting new friends or going on dates, and you've been kind of just trying to be more carefree. Not that you won't have that like happy energy coming into the new year, but I see things like, I see you kind of getting down more to brass tacks with the Ace of Pentacles and with this full moon being in your second house. And then the sun in Capricorn with Mars and Venus there in the eighth as well. I see this being this heavy concentration on where maybe am I spending too much? Where can I cut back? Where can I pay off debt? Where can I get clear on my money goals, or clear on my like on what I own? Maybe I end up throwing stuff away, or I declutter in some capacity. The Ace of Pentacles can represent wanting to get your physical world in order. And that could be, again, the things that you own, your financial plans, your career plans, your budget, all those things, even your food. So that's what I see. I see you guys really bringing it into balance with the Justice card. And I think what's happening is that you're learning how to balance the playing with the Three of Cups and Four of Wands with the physical things as well. So I see you maybe, especially with the Moon card, I see you guys getting clear on where you maybe have had like unconscious behaviors, like just habitual things. With Saturn and Neptune right now in your 10th, I feel like this is, and it's this last push of it being in your 10th, it's trying to get you guys to be willing to make sacrifices for long-term gain. And I think maybe you've had that at times, but with the Moon card, this speaks to maybe you don't realize certain areas in which you have lacked boundaries, or you haven't had good balance, or maybe you've been thinking more about the present moment instead of the long term. So I see something changing with that, and you like awakening to more of what needs to happen in your life to bring you back into balance in the physical world. Because I think that, again, we can get overindulgent, we can get out of whack when we are just trying to live more in the moment. So I see you guys like recognizing and bringing to light where there were holes in your fiscal plan, your material world, that type of thing. I also think that with Aquarius, again, this can speak to like long-term goals and like who are we helping and what's the impact that we're making. So yeah, with Aquarius, it's something around like the bigger vision of your life and bringing things into balance that way. Aquarius can also speak to being like detached from something. So if you have been ignoring something or detached from something in your life and you've let it get out of order, I see you guys coming back to that and realizing where you have overlooked something or not wanted to see something intentionally and getting it in the physical order again. We also, the main themes that we have are the 10 of Cups, which is a card, one of the best cards. It's about happiness and success. And then we have the Crab, which is modesty, self-sufficiency, and circumvention. So again, I think that this is all about bringing to balance what you do to create a lot of happiness. So like maybe to be happy, you spend money on traveling, or you get massages, or you go out with friends, and all these things require they require money, or they require your attention and focus for a certain amount of time or whatever. So I can see you like wanting to prioritize happiness and spend money on that and make that a priority. But then with the Crab, this also talks about modesty and self-sufficiency. So maybe this also speaks to where you want to pull back and where you want to maybe say no to some luxuries or some things that you think make you happy. So I could see you guys like almost changing the concept of what you need to feel happy, or adjusting the way that you manage your material world, your schedule, your food, your money, to reflect a greater balance between discipline and luxury or indulgence, just pursuing happiness versus just trying to sacrifice for your future. I see you guys kind of achieving a better balance. But I think that this full moon is going to be, again, a lot around a transition rather than just like immediately ending up there. So it could take some time for this to really take hold into your life. But that's what I'm seeing for you, Gemini. I hope that that resonates for you or is helpful for you in any way. If it is, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm going to say have Cancer rising and sun. For you guys, this Cancer full moon is happening on January 3rd in your first house. So really significant one, because anything in the first house is going to have major changes and developments in the way that you see yourself, in your life, in your career, in your personality, in your health, all those things, your relationships, all those things can evolve. And I really see this full moon in particular being a time of a lot of transitions where one cycle is ending or something is leaving our life to help propel us into a new chapter. For some of you guys, this could be relationships, like maybe certain relationships leaving or evolving. But for most of you guys, I do feel like there's something here related to career, because I did roll the Sagittarius and 10th house dice. So there's something about this like period of time right now that I think is really going to speak to you in terms of developing your aspirations in life. So if you have certain goals or ambitions or certain things that you're very interested in and you want to develop them, this Cancer full moon is a chance to help you get on the right track with some of those visions that you're having. So I really, again, I see this as a period of time where something is leaving and then, or you're losing something and then you're gaining something else, or you're completing a cycle and then you're starting a new one. So the old cycle, the thing that you're losing is the Page of Wands and Page of Pentacles. I really feel like you've been in a period of maybe some type of like self-exploration with the Page of Wands, the Page of Pentacles. Maybe you've tried on a lot of different hats. Maybe you've tried on different physical styles, different exercises, different, career aspirations. Maybe you've thrown out a lot of different ideas and you've dabbled in things. But what I really see happening here for you guys is this sense of commitment and focus to move from the Page of Wands and Page of Pentacles, where you maybe feel like a beginner, an experimenter, a dabbler, or a newbie in some capacity. I see you transitioning now to learn more, to develop more, to grow more into some role in your life, and to see yourself as an expert at that thing, or to progress on the journey to becoming an expert. And I can see that a lot with the Nine of Pentacles. If you felt like you've had to rely on training wheels with something, or like seek a lot of outside help, or like let's say you've been in school to be a teacher. Let's say you wanted to be a teacher, or you've been learning something and trying to develop a skill at something. Maybe you go out there and you get a job as an assistant teacher, and you're like, you always look to the head teacher and you're like, okay, you tell me what to do today. Even though you've been going to school and you had all these years of practice now as an assistant teacher, it's like you're still maybe have the training wheels on in some capacity. You're still looking to the outside for help. And what I see is you guys developing a lot of this independence with the Nine of Pentacles, and developing your skills at something and putting more focus and energy and attention into something so that it can financially start to pay off for you, so that it can give you more financial independence and give you the sense of confidence as well, that the things that you're doing are paying off, that they're working, that you know what you're doing, to validate this long cycle and period of experimentation. I see you coming more into your confidence, into your like sense of self, where you feel like you're maybe reaching like a new height or a new level. So that's what I feel like is transitioning during this Cancer full moon. And the other thing that you're going to get out of it is the Star. The Star is a card of popularity, fame, notoriety. So if you guys have some kind of business or social media or something that you're wanting to grow or to become famous, and transition from playing small or experimenting and just trying a bunch of things to getting really focused, getting really disciplined, putting all of your eggs into one basket, making sure that you really try super hard with something. With the Star card, I see it paying off. This is a card of hope. This is a card of faith, self-belief, prosperity. So it's this sense of like getting feedback, that when I put my effort into something with this Nine of Pentacles, I start to get live feedback that it's working, either from signs from the universe or people telling me how much it helped them, or just having this sense of like hope in general. But I usually, with the Nine of Pentacles, I'm seeing hope coming from like physical things shifting and results happening around you, little clues of the way that the plant will grow into this massive tree. Like maybe you see a few shoots or a few flowers and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be so big and so great later. So the transition that I think you're coming out of is financial lack with the Five of Pentacles. If you have been really reliant on like a job that you want to transition out of to do your own thing, I see that working well for you. If you've been wanting to transition from one job to another, if you've been wanting to make more money with a side gig, if you've been wanting to develop some kind of major goal and be able to do it on your own, like if you've been taking instrument or music lessons for such a long time and you want to finally play on your own, or maybe even become a teacher yourself or something like that, I see you guys being able to do that and to be able to take care of yourself. So the Five of Pentacles represents not having enough money. I see you being able to have enough money, to be able to do something on your own, to pay for something on your own, to support yourself on your own. That's what I'm seeing, is this like going from the student to the teacher, or going from not excelling at something to excelling at something and mastering something, and being able to then break away and become independent and have your own perspective on something, or your own responsibility with something, like being able to manage more again and do more in a greater capacity because of the way that you are developing. Again, this is not going to immediately happen. This is a period of transition, but this new year is marking this transition for you. I also got the Tortoise. So home is where the heart is, it says, but I think we all know the major characteristic of the Taurus, besides having its shell in its back, is this sense of slowness. The pace of the Taurus is quite slow. So if you've been feeling really slow, I can see this thing picking up speed for you. Like if you've been in this kind of incubation period for a long time, like let's say you've been trying to become a doctor and you've been in school for so many years, and then you went and maybe you did whatever you do after school, rounds or something, I forget what it's called, residency, something like that. And it's like you're still like not fully free, but you're kind of free. And it's like takes so long. What I feel like this Taurus is saying is that this slow and steady effort is going to pay off. I think things are absolutely going to pick up pace, because Sag is mutable fire, and that is the fastest sign of the zodiac. Nothing is faster than mutable fire. So yeah, I mean, maybe air, but anyway, so yeah, I absolutely feel like the things that you've spent a long time building are going to have some sudden breakthroughs and pay off over this next 12 months. And I just think it's also speaking to things picking up speed as well. So if you have moments where things are slow, come back to your center. I think that has a lot to do with the Taurus's shell. Come back to your home, take care of things around the home, take care of your physical body. That's going to be really important for you at this Cancer full moon. Take care of the body. And I think that you'll notice that the more that you take care of like the little things in your life, the practical things in your life that make you feel safe and secure, and maybe you're in a clean home or in a healthy body, that kind of thing, you're getting enough rest, then I think, so if things slow down, do focus on that. And I think that you'll be surprised how much that actually accelerates other areas of your life by simply taking care of yourself first. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Cancer. I hope that resonates. I hope that's helpful for you. Let me know in the comments down below if it is. I am trying to double my subscribers over the next year. So I would love to hit like 12K. So if you want to participate in that or show me support, I would love for you to subscribe, hit the like button, hype it, share it with a friend, comment, anything really helps. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I must have Leo rising and sun. This Cancer full moon happening on January 3rd is taking place in your 12th house. And I've been speaking about how this really marks a period of transition where we're kind of closing out a chapter and starting fresh in this new year. And this new moon, or this full moon in Cancer, marks a transition, especially an emotional transition. And for you guys, even more so, because it falls in your 12th house, which is the last house of the zodiac. And so it kind of ends there and drops off there, and then picks up new in the fresh and fresh in the first house. So that's what I'm seeing is some kind of like reset, restart, something falling away. And so I pull cards around like what exactly is falling away. And we have the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands. These are cards that really speak to like um really, I think the major thing is changes in relationships. The Ace of Cups often speaks to a new relationship. The Ace of Wands is some passion that you are excited about, something that maybe inspires you, like a person or creative venture. But I feel like there was some energy in the previous cycle that's wrapping up where it might have felt like a lot of things had potential, because the aces are like seeds. Basically they represent a new opportunity, a new beginning. But there might, this past year might have shown you, or even multiple years might have shown you, that some of the things that you were really passionate about or had ideas about didn't have maybe um the like longevity piece to it, or maybe there needs to be some kind of like reset within it. So like, let's say for example, you decided to work with your friends on a long-term project or plan, and you were really excited about the people you're going to work with and stoked about the creative project coming up, and you thought it was such a good idea. But then maybe you hit a roadblock and you recognize that maybe you're not treated fairly and people are underpaying you, or they're giving you more or less responsibility, and there's this feeling of things being unfair. I can see you guys realizing that there needs to be a reset within that dynamic. So maybe you pull out and you don't work with that friend anymore, or maybe you decide to put in certain like things in the contract where you create rules around the dynamic or boundaries around the dynamic that you have in the workplace, whatever. So this is just a random example, but it could be anything where you have connections with people that you really thought were going to be one way, and then they might have evolved into something else. And this could, a lot of you, it's going to be relationships, but for some of you, it could be some kind of like creative opportunity or idea that you have. But for most people, it's going to be some kind of relationship. And I think some of you guys, I mean, I just don't think everybody is going to have the same path, but there is this feeling of something having a lot of potential, and then realizing with the King of Cups and the Five of Cups that maybe like once it matures into something, that maybe it's not what you thought it was. So I think part of this transition is you guys coming at something from like a place of a lot more emotional maturity. And the Cancer in the 12th house to me is like really recognizing where you at times could maybe project onto something or idealize something. It could also speak to maybe like not always seeing something clearly or noticing something within yourself clearly. But what I feel like is evolving is you guys are becoming more in tune with your needs, more in tune with your emotions and how you really feel about someone or something, and listening to that gut instinct and developing emotional maturity, working through difficult things, working through grievances, developing the relationship from just a possibility into like a full-fledged, healthy working dynamic with somebody, right? So there's something here around that. For some of you guys, the answer to the healthy dynamic is actually to leave it, with the Five of Cups and then the Nine of Pentacles clarifying. But that's not always going to be the case. Oftentimes the relationship is going to evolve with you. But regardless of what happens, what I think is a major focus is developing your sense of independence and your self-worth to make sure that you have the necessary boundaries and that you're getting what you deserve in the connections that you're involved with. So that's what I'm seeing is like coming into a place of more emotional maturity to handle conflict, to handle issues, to stand up for yourself, to ask for what you deserve, to walk away if that's what's needed for you at the time, or to rely more on yourself if that's what's needed, to have a healthy perspective of the other person. With the main themes here being the Fool card, childlike wonder, trust, and freedom, and then the Penguin, Three of Cups, celebration, soul groups, time to focus. I really see some kind of fresh start in regards to relationships. All of these are very similar. The Puffin and the Penguin are very similar, at least in appearance. And I know that penguins, they mate for life, and they're very attentive and very loyal to one another. So that's the thing that I think that you're coming into. You're having some kind of reset in relationships. Instead of trying to project an ideal onto a person or situation that is never going to meet those needs, or instead of overlooking something and never, address, like, and maybe you've been too people pleasing and maybe you've never asked for certain boundaries or certain pay or certain things that you deserve back. I see you guys like coming more into a firmness in the relationships that you're in, having some kind of like soul alignment with people, finding the right people, you evolving in the way that you are dealing with those people, again, through a more emotional maturity and through being honest. So yeah, there's some kind of relationship reset here. So I'm really curious what this is going to look like for you guys. It feels less like you're dreaming and more like you are making something come into reality in the physical plane. And in order to do that, you need some kind of fresh start, some kind of fresh perspective, or change in the relationship or leaving the relationship to find that with someone else. So it's going to look different for everybody, but that's what I'm seeing for you, Leo. If that resonates, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, hype the video. I'm trying to double my subscribers, so I really appreciate any help that you provide me in that, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I might say Virgo rising and sun. So for you guys, this Cancer full moon on January 3rd is taking place in your 11th house. The 11th house speaks to our friends, our relationships, and our long-term planning. So this is the area in which we are having a lot going on right now. And in particular, this Cancer full moon, I'm really seeing as a marker of a transition period. And I think that really coincides well with the start of the new year, but it is some kind of chapter wrapping up and then something new beginning for us. And for you guys in particular, it is very transitory or transitionary because Mercury is squaring Jupiter. Mercury is your planetary ruler. Sorry, squaring Neptune. So your planetary ruler Mercury is squaring Neptune. And this can create a sense of like confusion and things. So anyway, I think that you guys were going to be going through some kind of ending and transition, and it's also squaring Neptune and Saturn together. So there's a lot that is going to be evolving. Let's just say that. Okay, so what is evolving? What's like the before chapter? What's the after chapter? So I pulled some cards for this. I got the Sun and the Four of Swords. So to me, this speaks to like very 11th house sort of energy where the moon is. Because we're coming out of this. So the Sun and the Four of Swords to me is the opposite of the 11th, where the Sun is in the 5th. So the Sun is related to children. It's related to optimism and fun and travel and creativity and knowing exactly what you're doing and where you're going, and just trying to have pleasure doing it. And then we have Four of Swords, which is somebody resting and chilling and going on vacation and taking things easy. So what I'm seeing here is a couple of messages, but one of them is like, I see my Virgos moving from a place of being kind of chill with things to getting maybe more like having more of a long-term plan in place, which I can really see with the moon in the 11th house. So that's one message. Another message with the before is that you guys might have like taken a lot of time off, and I see you guys maybe being more productive now. Maybe not at the time of this new full moon in particular, but like in 2026, I could see you being more productive, getting more done, or having more like efficiency. The Sun and this Four of Swords can also speak to, I only act and move when I can see the next step, like when I know exactly where I'm going and having a plan. And I think that part of what's changing for you guys, my Virgos, is that life is really going to, I really think that life is going to just kind of take you on a roller coaster ride over this next year. You know, I see that in the cards. So the thing that you're transitioning into is the High Priestess in the Tower. This is like really not knowing what's coming next. The Tower represents something that you thought was going to happen, never coming to pass, or something that you planned and aspired towards and really wanted, being ripped out from under you, or something that you were thinking of falling apart. Like there's a sense of like transition and change and endings with the Tower card, and often coming from an unexpected place. So a sudden loss, a sudden change in career, a sudden change in direction. And with the High Priestess card next to it, you are meant to embrace the unpredictability and trust your intuition to guide you through each phase and each step. I feel like before, again, I don't think that you guys were really acting unless you felt like you knew where you're going. This new thing that I think you're embracing with this Cancer full moon is is trusting yourself in this whole process. So trusting that like you maybe don't have the answers, don't have everything super planned, and there could be things that like drop and change at the last second, but you are really intuitive and in tune with yourself, and it's going to allow you to navigate those things without freaking out, basically. So I'm seeing like the sense of adaptability, especially when it comes to other people, because Mercury's in the 5th squaring Neptune the 7th. So this could really speak to your relationships, or like the things that are happening either in your relationships between you two, or like things that literally happen to somebody else. I could see a lot of changes going on in your life, in your relationships, and not really like knowing how things are going to change and evolve, and maybe sudden and unexpected things coming out of the way, and maybe things with your family with the 4 here, maybe some sudden changes with your family. And again, your relationships within your family. There's going to be some major pivots that are happening, is what I'm trying to say. And so I think it's going to be really important for you guys to feel like you can, again, trust your own instincts on how to navigate these really uncertain times. So it might not feel uncertain at this particular moment, or maybe it will. But I feel like there's something about this that is really trying to get you to be okay in this like uncertain period, in this transition. Even if it's not right now, it'll likely come in the near future, or maybe it's already been going on. So yeah, I feel like you guys, again, you're moving from a place of I wasn't acting until I knew exactly what was going on, to major changes are happening, or I'm making major changes to my life, or things are disrupting in my life totally, and the things that I thought I wanted and now I don't want, and everything's changing, and because of that, I'm no longer forcing myself to have all the answers before I act. Instead, I'm adapting. I'm acting when I feel intuitively guided to, and I allow myself to move forward even when I can't see the next steps. So really major stuff here. Another thing coming through is I got the major theme. I got the Page of Wands, enthusiasm, free spirit, new ideas. And then I got the armadillo, marking territory, impenetrable defense, and caution. So what I'm seeing here is I feel like you guys are coming into more of a balance between these energies, where you are going to be able to move forward with enthusiasm, but also with caution. Because I do think that like, with the Tower card, I don't know, just like life events might make you realize that you can't just throw caution to the wind, right? I mean, I feel like this was kind of the energy at first, is like a little bit of, I'm not moving forward unless I'm not going on this hike unless it's a perfectly sunny day and there's no chance of rain and there's no chance of, any bad weather or being too cold or too hot. It's like, I'm only moving forward when it's perfect conditions. That was kind of where you're coming from. And now with the High Priestess in the Tower, you're like, I don't know if this relationship is going to work. I don't know if this person is right for me. I don't know what I'm doing. Things are changing left and right. This thing happened with my family. It's like all these things are moving and shifting, and you don't know how it's going to end up, but you still embrace it anyway. So being less precious with your life, being less precious with like your relationships and the path, and having to know and get ahead of everything, and instead embracing the unknown, embracing the mess, embracing the confusion, embracing the changes, and doing it and acting from a place of enthusiasm and excitement. Like, this is what I want to do. I'm inspired to make this change, so I'm going to do it. Even though it might be, again, messy to do this thing, I'm going to still embrace it. But you're not doing that. But I feel like part of your advice is not to do that with completely throwing caution to the wind, but embrace a sense of like put up boundaries, put up constraints, put up have certain caution around moving forward. So yes, move forward without being so precious with it, but also don't be reckless. Like, also have caution, also take things slow when you need to take things slow. Or speed things up when you feel the intuition to speed up. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. So just to recap everything, I feel like you guys are coming out of a phase of maybe not really knowing what you want, or and allowing that to kind of keep you in one place, to moving into a period of, especially within relationships and family, where you're like, okay, I don't know how this is going to end up, but I'm going to try it anyway. And having some really major endings within relationships, and changes in your life that force you to be adaptable, that require you to be both cautious and embracing the new. Okay, I hope that makes sense, because I kind of feel like this is going for a really, really wide variety of circumstances for people. So I feel a little bit like trepidatious and giving a very specific outcome, but I hope that that can apply for you and make sense for you. I kind of want to pull like one more card here. So, yeah, I'd love for you to like think of a question in your mind right now around a certain circumstance, and I'll pull a card around that, because I feel some strong energies for my Virgos right now. So, message for Virgo spirit. So we have in the near future. So this is going to answer your question. So if you're answering, if you've had some kind of rift within a relationship, or some kind of ending, or some kind of major change that you're hoping comes to you, or meeting somebody new, or reconciliation, new chapter, this is going to happen in the near future. To me, this is like 1 to 3 months, max 6 months when I think about in the near future. So that can happen for you then. So that's what I see for you, Virgo. If this is helpful for you, resonates with you, or if you want to support my channel, then please let me know in the comments down below how this reading was, or anything about your life. Don't forget to like the video, hype the video, subscribe, share with your friends. I am trying to double my following in the next year. So if you want to be a part of that, then you can offer support in that way. And I hope that you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm going to say Libra, rising, and sun. So for you guys, this Cancer full moon on January 3rd is taking place in your 10th house of career. And what I see this new full moon marking is a point of transition, really kind of leaving this chapter of 2025 in the past and transitioning into a new one. And I think we're in this kind of liminal phase at the time of this Cancer full moon. So what is the liminal phase about? Like where are you leaving and where are you going to? So what you're leaving, I see the Two of Pentacles and the Page of Swords. I will also say I think this is a major time of transformation for you, because your planetary ruler Venus is conjunct the Sun and Mars in the 4th house opposite this moon. So it's going to be a lot more personal to you around the things that are evolving, the things that are leaving. So we have the Two of Pentacles and Page of Swords as where you're coming from. So to me, this is you guys having like a lot of irons in the pot, having, is that a thing? A lot of irons in the stove. Something here about like spreading yourself too thin, having a lot of like options, but not like fully committing to something. Maybe this is having like lots of different ideas that you can try, but never like fully doing it. Maybe because you have a lot to juggle, a lot of responsibilities. Maybe you have like 2 passions or 2 people or 2 interests in your life, and you're like, how do I make these work? And you just have questions, and you don't necessarily have all of the answers. You're curious, you've got a lot on your plate, you've got a lot of priorities, but maybe you don't have a very clear vision of how all these things can work together, or like one major goal that you have. It's like you're kind of spreading into many different goals. So I'm seeing as part of your transition is I feel like you guys are maybe starting to recognize like how that type of behavior, keeping like your options open almost in some kind of way, or like always considering like new ideas, or like trying to do multiple things at once, or prioritize multiple things at once. I think you're going to notice that this is actually a behavior of like self-undoing and self-sabotage in a way. So it's like, for example, let's say you meet somebody really nice and you really like them, but then you're like, well, but what if there's somebody else better out there? And maybe you start dating, and you're like going on multiple dates, multiple types of people, and you're like, see, like there's all these options, and it's like, well, but there's actually one really good person, but you're not focusing on that because you maybe don't want to like narrow things down too much, and you have like multiple priorities. So I think that you're going to recognize that that's not serving you, and that that's actually contributing to you not having what you want because you're trying to have it all. And it's almost like you have to choose, or you have to develop something further. You have to commit to something further, focus on something more, prioritize something more. There's something around that that's needing to happen at this time. And Venus conjunct Mars can speak to needing to, like, the cessation of something, like needing to stop something in order to make sure that you have the capacity to focus your vision on one particular thing. It doesn't just have to be one thing, because that's not life, right? Like, we're always going to have competing priorities. But I do think that you need to end the struggle with something. And I can see that with this death card, which says destruction, renewal, and real truth. And then the 9 of Wands, resolve, resilience, and bravery. I just feel like maybe you guys have been like, there's a couple of different messages. First of all, I feel like when you have, like, when you're not fully committed to something energetically, it could show up as you guys like task switching. So instead of realizing, oh, I'm not actually 100% committing to this, in your head, you're like, well, I just have this other thing that I have to prioritize too. And so you just switch the output. So maybe you're working on something really hard and then you switch it to something else, switch the focus to something else. And that's a way of like actually not being fully committed. So giving up too easily, almost like, okay, this is stressing me out here, so I'm gonna go, like, this person that I'm going on a date with is stressing me out, so I'm gonna go on this date with this other person. Doing something like that is like, well, you're not really committed then to that thing, and that's gonna show up in your life. And so there could be an ending to that with this death in the 9 of Wands, where you guys are needing to end some kind of like flightiness almost, or non-committal energy, or spreading yourself too thin. And stick it out with the 9 of Wands for the long haul, and put the effort into like transform something, and to maybe tackle like the difficulties around something, and go into it further. So like, if you're dating a bunch of people, it's like, and it gets to this hard part where it's like no longer the honeymoon phase, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to go on to another person. I put my energy somewhere else. It's like, well, you just need to get past that phase. And the only way to do that is to go through the hard thing, to face the self-doubt, to have the hard conversations. Yeah. So there's something here around like needing to push past some layer of difficulty in something and be committed to it enough to be able to like see it through all the way to the finish line. The other thing is that something might need to leave your life that you've been really struggling with. Like, maybe you're juggling too many things, or you're struggling on the wrong path, and you need to kind of pivot in some way. So that's another message for you guys, is it could either be one or the other. And so one group of you might need to actually cut someone or something completely out of your life, or again, pivot in some way. Okay, either one of those. The thing that you're transitioning into, I got the nine of Swords and the Magician card. So again, I think with the 9 of Swords being here and this being a card of anxiety, I think that in this transition, it is going to require you to face certain fears of maybe stagnation, especially with like the Knight of Pentacles and 2 of Cups. There might be something about like your commitment to a goal, or to a dream, or to a couple, like a relationship partner, that might get like, where you might get anxiety and get in your head when things start to become really like mundane or ordinary, or really stable, or like stagnant in some way, or really moving slowly. So whatever this is, like, let's say you like, yeah, there's something about this where you might want things to be fast or intense, or get to the immediate results, and or constantly changing and pivoting. And it might feel uncomfortable to just like sit in a kind of slow energy, or a stagnant energy, or just be doing really mundane, ordinary tasks, or mundane, ordinary things with your partner or whatever. You might start getting in your own head at that time. So I feel like part of this Libra full or Cancer full moon is about helping you guys recognize when your own thoughts are like getting in the way of your happiness. And with the Magician card, I feel like this is you developing like using all the tools at your disposal to make something work to the best of your ability and to have something reach its fullest potential. So if this is again a relationship and you're like, I'll just jump to that relationship and then I'll focus on this one, and never really giving someone your full attention, this is you committing wholeheartedly to one relationship, seeing it through, seeing it to its fullest potential, getting past that messy middle kind of thing. If this is a creative project, getting past that messy middle, not jumping to a new idea. If this is a business project, this is the same thing is applicable. Not spreading yourself too thin, but fully committing to the struggle of the uncertainty in the beginning, in the middle, when things are not paying off right away. So there's something around this where you guys have to trust the process and trust more of yourself, and not give up when things get hard, and not stay in the wrong thing when it's clearly like not working. So you're gonna have to figure out what the balance is there. Like fully 100% committing to something, seeing it through, and if it doesn't work, then if you don't like it, then you can move on. But you have to give it that full shot, I think is what I mean to say. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Libra. If that resonates, let me know in the comments down below. I am trying to double my subscribers over this next year. So if you're interested in supporting that, I'd really appreciate a follow, subscribe, a comment, a like, anything to hype the video, promote the channel. I appreciate that. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next you have Scorpio rising and sun. So this Cancer full moon is happening on January 3rd in your 9th house. And I really see this as marking a period of transition for all of us. And for you guys, this is a particularly constructive time because Mars, your planetary ruler, is exalted in Capricorn right now. It's also next to Venus and the sun across from this full moon or this moon. So I think it's going to give you guys a lot of kind of like clarity and awareness at this time, which I think is going to feel really good. With this full moon being in your 9th, I see you guys coming into a phase of maybe travel, expansion, growth in some kind of way. And we're going to talk about what that's going to look like. So one of the reasons why I think that this marks a period of transition for us is because Mercury is squaring Saturn and Neptune. So I think that, yeah. Okay. So what is it that we're transitioning from? We're starting off with the 8 of Cups and the 6 of Swords. Both of these cards to me feel like you're moving away from something to a better place. So this past cycle for you has been a lot around what is leaving your life, or things that you used to maybe rely on or have suddenly being gone, or being in periods of transition, maybe even feeling lonely at times because of things that you've left or things leaving your life. And the 6 of Swords is just trying to find like stabilization with like after those things have left your life, after or when you have felt alone. For example, how do you stabilize yourself and feel more at peace? This feels like this last cycle has been about like leaving behind the drama, leaving behind the toxicity or the things that like haven't worked. And I see that a lot with this 10 of Swords being like a major theme for you. And it says betrayal, deep wounds, and recovery. Again, I feel like this last cycle has been around endings, real endings, things that maybe came and physically hurt you, or maybe things that emotionally hurt you or just disrupted your life in some way. But I see you guys like recovering from that. I feel like that's what you've been doing this previous cycle, is like being in this phase of recovery. And I feel like that is the phase that is finally ending. And what you're moving into next is the Fool and the 4 of Wands. This is having some kind of happy new beginning in the area of home. So maybe some of you guys will move homes. Maybe some of you guys will have some type of like new start in your life that is going to allow you to celebrate. Like maybe you're achieving some kind of milestone, some kind of goal. Maybe you guys are finally feeling like healthy with something, or you in this next cycle feel like you're recovering from something. And so you feel like very like fresh, I guess, with this Fool card, uninhibited. If you have been betrayed, if you've been hurt by somebody or had physical or emotional pain, I'm seeing you in this next year being freed from that, being liberated from that. And I think that you're going to be very adaptable in this year ahead with the Fool card. This is somebody who is willing to see things through new eyes. They're willing to try new things. They're willing to, just like have a fresh start and not carry all this kind of jaded energy with them. It's like, nope, that is in the past. This previous cycle where I was in pain, that's over now. And now I can have this new cycle where I'm building again. With the Eight of Pentacles, the draft card, it says apprenticeship, craftsmanship, and mastery. I feel like you guys are becoming masters of your life and you're building yourself back up where you have felt that there wasn't stability. With this Taurus, I see you creating more stability. Maybe this is stability in relationships, in where you live, in career goals, whatever it is. Some of you guys might travel or do something new with this full moon in the ninth. You don't have to, but really it's speaking to just a new, more optimistic chapter. And with the Four of Wands, I feel like this is you guys feeling like you're starting fresh, you're leaving the past behind, and it's giving you this feeling of being really secure and safe in this new chapter, but also like anything could happen with the Fool card. So you not only are creating stability and building something really foundational and really nourishing, but you're also having like newness come in. So it's not always that we get both stability and like variety and fresh newness. So just think about what that's going to look like for you. Maybe it's totally new perspectives. Maybe you're traveling more, doing more, experimenting more, but then you're also like on the side or equally building something up that is going to make you feel really safe, secure, and foundational. So that's what I'm seeing for you guys. The things that have, you're no longer in the phase of having to leave something behind. You're now in the phase of that thing being gone, and you are now building and looking at what is new that you want to add to your life. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Scorpio. If that resonates, let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this or if you want to help me grow my channel. I am trying to double my channel, so if you're interested in supporting that, please follow, please comment, subscribe, share with your friends, hype the video, and I appreciate you so much. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Sag rising and sun. This Cancer full moon happening on January 3rd is taking place in your 8th house. And I'm really seeing this as a transitionary period of time. And I think that you guys have been kind of like sensing this coming with this being in your 8th house. And the 8th house is quite psychic. I also pulled the Owl card, which is a very psychic card. Yeah, it literally says psychic power on here, and it speaks to the moon. So I feel like there is just some major transitions that you're going through right now that you felt coming upon you. You felt like something was like meant to be shifting now, or maybe intuitively you are guided towards something right now, or you just anticipated something. There's some energy here of like seeing in the dark. The owl and the 8th house can also represent periods of time where maybe something is a little bit more challenging and we have to see in the dark in that way, where things might feel dark as in, emotionally like closing in on you, or bringing a kind of crisis into your life or worry into your life. And then being able to, with the owl, see through that period of time and kind of understand what it's serving or where you're going to, what you're transmuting, and what you're going to see on the other side of this kind of like emotional experience. So what I feel like you're doing is you're going through some kind of chrysalis with the butterfly card. These are your major themes. And oftentimes with the owl and the 8th house, there can be, again, some kind of loss or change that might feel scary at times. And to become the caterpillar to the butterfly also can be really scary, because you have to, as a caterpillar, kind of disintegrate into a goop and then reform into the butterfly. So yeah, I mean, a lot for you is changing in your life, and it could feel scary of like, what's on the other side of this? But this owl is able to, again, see through the dark. So I feel like you're being really intuitively guided to make certain changes or to embrace certain changes that are thrust upon you. And things that are evolving in your life and you don't understand why, but there is a psychic insight that you just know about something. So maybe you just know that things are going to get better in a certain troubling situation, or maybe you just know that something needs to end or that something needs to change. But I see a major evolution going on for you guys, and this Cancer full moon can represent this transition period where we are moving from the old to the new, especially because Mercury is in your second, is squaring Neptune and Saturn in your fourth. So there can be quite a lot changing, especially around your finances, or your home, or the things that are really consistent and really stable for you. There could be some transitions with that, like transitions with your money or your family or where you live or family members, and things like that can shift at this time or feel uncertain. But you also are very psychically tuned in, so you kind of can anticipate the needs that you're going to have or that your family is going to have, or whatever changes are required of you right now. So what is the thing that you're coming from? You're starting here and then you're going to go somewhere. So where are you starting? We got the Knight of Swords and the Ten of Wands. So I feel like you guys have maybe been, life has been moving really quickly with the Knight of Swords. This can represent feeling like maybe things have gotten out of hand in some way and have become unsustainable with the Ten of Wands. Maybe there's been a lot of recent changes that have been happening really quickly or thrust upon you, and the Ten of Wands could feel overwhelmed by that change. Or maybe you just have a lot going on and a lot on your plate, and you feel like you've been rushing around and taking on too much work and having so much responsibility without a sense of reprieve. So whatever it is, there's something about things moving fast and things feeling heavy. Not a good combination to have, right? You don't want to book it on a hike up Everest carrying all this baggage, and then you get to the top and you just don't have anything left in you. So that's where you're coming from, this really unsustainable place in terms of the energy. Maybe you were, anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. So what you're going to, we have the Page of Pentacles. We got a couple cards, but I'm gonna start off with this Page of Pentacles. This feels like a student, right? She's got her backpack, she's got a single pentacle. The word that came to me with this is simplify. And I think that this is really related to the sun being in your second house. So there's something about this time with Jupiter, your planetary ruler, in the 8th house, and being so close to this moon. I feel like there's things leaving your life to bring about greater simplicity, or you're meant to kind of come back to basics with the Page of Pentacles to feel like you can either start something new, start something fresh, or continue along a path to build something up, or come back to really, really basic things around maybe self-care or financial management, or managing things around the house. There's something here with this of let's pare down, let's simplify, let's get back to basics. Let's really work on the foundation of something and build from there. That's what I'm seeing with this, is allowing things to be simple and easy, and not try to do too much too fast or expect too much from yourself. If there's been a lot of change and stress lately, not expecting so much of yourself, paring back in general. And again, coming back to really basic foundations. The other thing I think you're coming into right now is the Queen of Swords and Five of Swords. So to me, this is eliminating a lot of the stress in your life by having important conversations, or having having better clearer boundaries with the Queen of Swords, or having honest conversations about existing issues with people, for example, or opening up to somebody. I mean, I wouldn't say the Queen of Swords is necessarily emotional, though. This is a little bit more logical of this area was stressing me out in my life, and I'm going to cut it out, or I'm going to change it, or address this issue. It's you're looking at it from a logical perspective, and I think it's going to help you manage it. So let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, let's say this is dealing with another person. The Queen of Swords can represent maybe there being a lot that's been swept under the rug in a relationship. It's been stressing you out, but you haven't really addressed it with that person yet fully. Maybe you've kind of talked about it, but haven't had a successful resolution. This is kind of saying, all right, I'm going to call them and really talk about these things with them, because it's going to, I'm going to lay really clear boundaries and expectations around the relationship to make sure that this existing issue and tension and stress isn't coming into our relationship or isn't there. So there's something here around, I feel like, being firm, being clear, and simplifying your life. If you've been taking on a lot of responsibility for other people or for a lot of other things, this could be paring down, simplifying, and just trying to have better boundaries where you take care of yourself more. I see that also with the 2 and Aries, which I roll the dice. This can represent a lot of independence and like building up your finances, building up your self-worth. But I just think a lot of it, again, is like coming back to the self and simplifying and like really meeting your own needs right now, and focusing a little bit more, not on being selfish per se, but just really having clear understanding of your role versus someone else's role. What is my role in their life? What will I and won't I tolerate? Like, where are the lines in the sand here? I think that's really, really important, because I think that you guys could fall back into something unsustainable or exhausting, involving somebody else or even with yourself, if you don't have those clear boundaries with yourself and others. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing for you guys. I think some major changes have been going on. You're going through a period of transition and transformation with this butterfly. I think you're coming into your own, but I think you have to simplify, pare back, have difficult conversations, and trust your own sight, your own psychic sight around what's coming or what you need at a given moment. So that's what I see for you, Sag. If this resonates, if this is helpful for you, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, hype the video, comment, like, everything, because I am trying to grow my channel this year. I'm trying to double the following. So if you are interested in being part of that, I would really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Capricorn rising and sun. This Cancer full moon is taking place in your 7th house on January 3rd, 2026. Happy New Year. And yeah, I see this marking a period of transition for us, especially because Mercury at this time is in your 1st, squaring Saturn and Neptune in your 3rd. I see there being some kind of like change in your perspective on how you approach relationships. And that's what I think is transitioning here. I did roll the dice and I got the 7th house in Cancer, which is exactly where this moon is. It's a full moon in Cancer in your 7th. So just really emphasizing for you guys that there is transitions and changes and healing and development, and emotional depth deepening in your relationships. So where are you starting this transition and where are you ending it? So we start off with 3 of Pentacles and Queen of Pentacles. So, and the Armadillo card, which I'll speak to in a second. But the 3 of Pentacles and Queen of Pentacles, this is somebody who approaches relationships in maybe a very practical way. Maybe you have been focusing on work relationships or relationships with students or with fellow students or teachers or a boss or a coworker, or even if it's with a partner that this is talking about or a friend, this is maybe focusing on like, here's what we accomplished together. You know, when you can get really productive with someone and in the flow with somebody, but it's not romantic. It's very like earthy and practical and like, okay, let's run errands. Let's take care of this kid together. Let's take care of this house together. That's what I see. I see you really being in this energy with the Queen of Pentacles of focusing on these like work relationships and being productive and efficient and mixing that with the relationships that you have, and kind of approaching your relationships from this almost, I'd say it's positive and supportive, but also like somewhat clinical. With this Armadillo card, this Armadillo has natural emotional defenses with its thick layer of a shell or like a skin. And so I see you guys maybe having like layers of protection around you that people can't always penetrate within your relationships. And if you are focusing on like something outside of the relationship, like if you both are focusing on a goal, it's like you're, instead of your eyes like looking at one another and the intimacy and vulnerability of that, it it's different. It's more detached because you're, both of your eyes are looking at a common goal rather than one another. So there's something about this with like changing your focus and approach to relationships to develop more, instead of being like all work or all productive or being efficient or being practical. Like I see you moving, or even emotionally unavailable. Like maybe you're just like really busy with stuff and you're not, like you don't make enough time for like real vulnerability and intimacy and emotional connection. And so I see you, I don't say that completely changing, but I see you building on that. So you don't have to get rid of your boundaries. You don't have to get rid of your goals, right? That's not what this is saying, but I feel like almost this need, this focus and this need to kind of like soften and have more emotional vulnerability within relationships, and have the relationship focus on intimacy and seeing the other person rather than both people focusing on what they're achieving together. So that's the transition I think you're going through. And I can see that with this, with the sun card. The sun card speaks to, first of all, some of you guys could decide to like focus on having children or having a family in this next year, whereas before you might have been really focused on like work and productivity, and again people that you work with in collaboration networking. With the sun card and the four of wands, some Capricorn risings may find themselves embarking on having a family, having kids, and like changing your focus to emotional connection and intimacy with your family rather than like always measuring your productivity. Not that that has to go away, because my Capricorns, I know that's important to you. But that work ethic can be built upon and softened by adding on this layer of the sun and the four of wands of being more like open to a like the like a warmth of just like taking things easier at times, or having more downtime with the people that you love, spending more like one-on-one time with people. There's just this need of almost here to like to focus on the relationships and like carve out space for the relationship, not just what you do together and accomplish together, but the relationship itself, putting energy, emotion, and attention into that. The sun and the four of wands can also speak to being more like being less guarded, being more optimistic and emotionally open with people, and feeling like there is something to celebrate, feeling optimistic. Not just like, oh, I have to preserve this and protect this. Like, I have to preserve and protect my heart or this relationship or this person. It's like, what if things could be more coming from a place of like, I'm extending my arm out into the world and somebody is reaching back, and we're both grasping each other, and we're both open, and we're both warm, rather than needing to save and protect and defend, right? So it's like I can approach my relationships, I can approach this, my goals in this next phase of my life, from a playful mindset, or from a place of like optimism and hopefulness and celebration. And yeah, I think that there's something special about that, of like celebrating your wins, right? Instead of just being like, okay, what's next? Okay, how can we be productive? It's like being, it's just, yeah, I see more relaxation, enjoying like each cycle for what it is. Like, okay, I accomplished this, now I can relax and just go on a trip with this person I love and focus on them, and like having everything more compartmentalized, I see for you. And I really see with the hanged one in reverse, I mean, this was upright reverse, it doesn't matter. I see you guys like completely changing your perspective so that you know, like, I think your priorities are going to change, and it's going to be less again about maintenance and preservation and safety, and more so about like lightheartedness and fun and expansion and pleasure, and doing that through your relationships. And with the sugar glider, I see you coming into a phase of adventure, of taking a leap of faith, using your wisdom and your cleverness to get to the other side. So I feel like you're coming from this place of like, you're in your home and you're doing your chores and you're making sure that you're budgeting and being productive and being really disciplined and building something with your loved ones. And then I see you maybe accomplishing that goal and you being like, okay, now I can just go on this trip with my loved ones. Now I can decide to take this leap of faith and have a family because I've accomplished certain goals, or I'm ready for this new phase of my life. Like, I see you completely changing maybe the pacing with which you go about things, or the energetic approach, the emotional approach, like coming from preservation to like expansion. Those are really different approaches. Going from emotional guardedness to emotional warmth and openness, having practical, efficient relationships to having relationships based off of intimacy and celebration and really seeing and spending time with one another. So I'm just seeing some kind of like, yeah, this development. I don't even see it as you're leaving that previous part behind, but I think that there is some leap of faith into a lighter, more expansive, more emotionally resonant, and like light. I think light literally as in like illumination, like having like warmth, clarity. Anyway, I'm just saying words now, but I hope that you guys kind of understand what I'm saying. It feels like a major transition, and for some of you guys, it's literal, where you're going from like being really focused on work to having a family. For some of you guys, it's going to be totally different, and just respecting like different seasons of your life. But either way, I think you're meant to be opening your heart into thinking about possibilities and enjoying and celebrating your current accomplishments and where you are now, rather than like thinking about what's next. So that's what I see for you, Capricorn. If that resonates, let me know in the comments down below. I am trying to double my following. So if you want to subscribe, if you want to share it with someone, hype the video, like the video, comment, all that's super helpful, and I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a beautiful 2026. Bye. All right, next we have Aquarius rising and sun. So for you guys, this Cancer full moon is happening in your 6th house. And basically, I'm seeing this full moon mark some kind of transition for us. And I think that makes a lot of sense given the fact that we're coming into a new year, 2026. And I really feel like we're starting off in one place and moving into another, but this full moon represents the space in between. So if you're feeling a little like out of sorts, that's really normal for a period of time like this. So, okay, let me speak to what I'm seeing here in the cards, and I'll weave in the astrology. So from starting off, like basically the first cards I pulled are describing where you're starting off. And I got the Knight of Pentacles and Ace of Pentacles. To me, this is something that's like you, and then to clarify this, I got the Hanged Man. So to me, the Knight of Pentacles this is the slowest card in the deck. And so it can feel like something isn't fully progressing, or it's progressing really slowly. It might feel like you're stagnating with something. Maybe something was put on pause, although I don't feel like it's a pause. I just feel like it's just moving very incrementally, like slowly forward. And that could be very frustrating for you. I did pull like the Ring as a card. So maybe some of you guys are like wanting to get married and you were proposed to, but maybe it's like taking a while to like plan the wedding and get everything in order, and that could feel really bothersome. This could speak to you know, developing, you're wanting to seek out new friendships, new community and stuff, and maybe you're kind of seeing a little bit of potential there, but maybe it's not like fully coming to life. Maybe it's been slow, or maybe you meet people that are really stubborn and kind of stuck in their ways. I'm just seeing like stagnancy and kind of stuck energy. And this could be about certain goals that you have, or this could be friends that you have that you're feeling like things are not like they're stable, but they're not progressing in like a really solid way. Yeah, your reading is the most confusing to me out of them, because I'm trying to think of an exact scenario in my head, and I don't know that I have one. So we got, for this side, I got the Tasmanian Devil, the 5 of Wands, conflict, competition, hiding from truth. And I got the Fly, the 5 of Swords, winning at all costs, pride before the fall. So there's something here around like you wanting something so bad, but it's not moving forward quickly. Or you maybe wanting certain kind of relationships and finding that you're actually meeting people who are quite stubborn and quite competitive or like conflict oriented or like not pleasant people. So I kind of feel like there's two different things going on here. For some of you, it's some kind of goal that you want to have, maybe a financial goal or some kind of like thing that you want to develop in your life, that like maybe like getting married, for example, or something else. And it's really slow going and it's kind of stressing you out because you're like forcing it forward, you're forcing it to progress, but it could feel like it's only happening at your hands. This could also be like, oh, I always try to hang out, but I'm the only one initiating, and if I stop initiating, then like no one's gonna hang out with me. Or I feel like I have certain relationships in my life, but we're not that close, and like I really want to get close to them, but I'm seeing some like red flags maybe in the relationship, or I just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, these cards can indicate that the people that are surrounding you haven't been the best choices. So yeah, it can be a lot of things, but I feel like there's something going on here that indicates this feeling of maybe like not having reciprocity fully. And that's a very common experience with a full moon in the sixth house. You really see where things are imbalanced. So if you've been putting a lot of effort to like get something financial or work oriented or health oriented off the ground, like maybe you see progress but it's really slow, and that could be sometimes stressing you out. Or maybe you feel like you put a lot of effort into certain relationships and other people don't put that same effort in, and that stresses you out, and you maybe feel like they're kind of stubborn and they won't give, like you have to bend and they won't bend at all, or compromise at all. So again, I think this is going to vary a lot from person to person, but the sixth house in general will show you where maybe you get a little bit stressed. The sixth house is very health oriented and mental and physical health, both. So I think that you guys could feel that flare up if something feels imbalanced, and it's here to show you through stress or anxiety or whatever that something is wrong or that something needs to change. And the approach that I think you're going to be having in the future is the Knight of Cups and Seven of Pentacles. So I see you coming at whatever this thing is from a more kind of like romantic perspective, because the Knight of Cups is a romantic. And basically this is idealizing and romanticizing the journey, even if it's slow with the Seven of Pentacles, even if it requires a lot of effort or, yeah, it just takes time. Like I feel like things were really slow and it was stressing you out. And the transition that you're having is again romanticizing something about that journey to make it feel fun and exciting along the way. And I really said with the Six of Cups, this is like your it says reunion, reminiscing, inner child, but the Six of Cups really is like a playful, childlike energy. The otter here, I was kayaking with my mom and we saw otters like on their bellies and they were like breaking into clams or whatever and eating them. And they hold hands and they just float. And there's this sense of like, I don't know, they just have a really good life, like a sense of freedom, lightness, enjoying the mundane. That's what I feel like you guys are meant to come into. So if you felt like I have to do all the effort and it's so stressful for me, and if I stop trying, then it stops moving, I feel like you're meant to shift gears and you're meant to move consistently, but from a place of inspiration. And if you feel like a relationship isn't emotionally fulfilling you, then you pull your energy back. This doesn't just have to be a relationship, it could be anything. But I see things progressing. I see things stabilizing. But again, I think you're meant to like enjoy more of the journey. And if there are really stubborn people, if you're trying to push things forward like forcefully, I see you coming into more of a flow and being more accepting, being more forgiving. Like let's say you are planning your wedding and it's stressful, for example. This could be you guys like letting go of the reins a little bit and maybe not trying to control as much. Maybe just like, again, flowing more from like a romantic perspective and keeping your sights set on what really matters, which is the relationship. So that's just an example. But yeah, I hope that this is helpful for you guys. But this is what I'm seeing, Aquarius. It's this general... It's a feeling that things are maybe still going kind of slow, but they're not being forced forward, and you see the slowness as something that helps stabilize something instead of rushing into the wrong things or doing things haphazardly. I see you guys like reimagining what it's like um to take your time with something and to cherish the small moments and to enjoy the journey and relish in that and find creativity, inspiration, and love in that place, um and rather than being super like goal oriented. So okay, that's what I see for you, Aquarius. I hope this resonates or is helpful for you. If so, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, hype the video. Anything is really appreciated because I am trying to grow my following this year. So I appreciate all of your help, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, and last but not least, we have Pisces rising and sun. So for you guys, this Cancer full moon on January 3rd is taking place in your 5th house of creativity and children and pleasure and fun and dating. And I think that you guys are definitely meant to cultivate more of that in your life right now. This full moon really represents a transitionary period between the old year 2025 and the new year 2026. And we can see that with Mercury squaring Saturn and Neptune. We are in this like liminal space between two realities. And we are meant to be kind of thinking about what we are shedding as we come into this year of the horse, the fire horse, where things are going to move forward quite productively. So what are you shedding? Where are you starting from? We got the Justice and the Seven of Wands. To me, this like immediately exhausted me when I saw it. This really feels like somebody fighting for justice, fighting for what they believe in, fighting to be treated fairly in a relationship, fighting for those who don't have, you know, what they need, fighting for a fair outcome for yourself. There's this feeling of like having to be a warrior. And I got the porcupine as well, which talks about quiet ferocity. So there's something about this where you might have had a lot of like rage over this past year, a lot of things that you've had to push back against, say no to, hold boundaries with, defend against, standing up for yourself and in your choices, or standing up for, again, a fair outcome with something, or wanting to like fight for justice with other people, again, maybe social movements or causes. And I just see this like very prickly energy. Like this feels very Martian. And this is maybe what it feels like to have Saturn in your sign, where it's been the last 2.5 years, and it's giving its last hurrah in this placement. And it's really saying like, where have you maybe had to be more firm and have more of this cutthroat kind of nature, defending yourself or something that matters to you. So yeah, I feel like you've been really working on that, really developing that. And now I think we need to kind of soften while holding boundaries. And I can see that with rolling Capricorn and then the 3rd house dice. There's something here around needing to communicate firmly and have clear like boundaries, having clear expectations, but not being cold. So there's something here around like, how do we take this ferocity that you've developed? How do we take this, you know, way of defending yourself and others in this passion and soften it a little bit, but while still making it firm in the boundaries and the ways that it needs to be, but softening the approach or softening where you're coming from. I see that with the 2 of Cups. So what you're transitioning into is feeling like you have more of this kind of soulmate match energy. So this is like, okay, when I don't have to fight to get my needs met. This person meets my needs without me asking. I don't have to push for that. I don't have to fight to get paid what I deserve at work. I instead get an equal match for the energy I give at work. I get equal pay. I don't have to fight to feel heard or understood or for fairness in my relationships with my friends. Instead, I have people who are on the same page as me, who meet me where I'm at. So it's going to depend on what this is for you. And the 5th house can represent things with your excuse me, with your children as well. Maybe you've really had to fight for their interests and like defend them in some way, or like maybe they have a health issue or an issue with a bully at school and you have to go in there guns blazing and fight to defend them. But I see you kind of coming out of that energy and into more of a space where you feel like safer and where, if this is involving your children or something else, where that situation is diffused a little bit so that they make good friends, and that now they have an ally and you don't have to worry about them as much, something like that. Or maybe they find the perfect doctor or the right solution to their physical problem, and it helps resolve that stress for you, so you don't have to keep going to bat for somebody. That's what I'm seeing. I feel like you've been going to bat for someone, or for yourself, or for your family, or for whoever. And I think that this is ending because you're having like the solution meet you, the reciprocity come to you, like somebody's answering the call, and you don't have to fight as much to be heard. And with the Queen of Pentacles, I really feel this talks about financial independence. So for some of you guys, this could speak to you making money on your own. If you've really had to like fight for your place in the world, or if you're worried about your own security, and again, you had to kind of push for that. I see that changing. And maybe coming through financial independence somehow through your own work, or the way that you take care of your home, stabilizing. But the message that I got from this card that normally isn't there is that you are being provided for. You are being taken care of. Things are going to work out in a way where you don't have to like push and force and fight and strive. And not that you won't do those things at all, but I feel like where you've had to really exert yourself a lot with Saturn and Pisces, when it moves into Aries, maybe more so like towards the middle of the year, I can see you guys really feeling like things are like they don't require as much energy. You don't have to exert yourself or forcing so much. Instead, things are responding with the amount of pressure that you're applying, right? So it's like you don't have to push just to get somebody to answer or to help you. You just give a simple response, and then you get a response, and it's like this even keel. The Queen of Pentacles, again, I really see this being like you being provided for in some way. Maybe this could come in the form of again, some kind of solution coming to you, meeting the right person at the right time, having some kind of job opportunity, having a new friend for your kid. It's going to depend, but there's some kind of like answer to your prayers, maybe some inheritance, maybe some money from a partner, maybe support of a partner, maybe a really close friend that you make. But there's this sense that you are provided for, whatever it is. So you're transitioning into the Page of Pentacles, the Camel card, which says quest for wisdom, abundant harvest, and conserving energy. That's what I see. I feel like you're coming from this phase of like this porcupine where they're prickly, they're wearing their armor, they're having to defend themselves and others, they're having to fight for things in life, and kind of approach life from that more, again, prickly perspective of like survival, to the camel, which the camel is very like self-resourceful. They can hold water. They don't need a lot, right? They can survive these harsh and dramatic conditions of the desert, and they can conserve their energy. So instead of having to fight and push and this and that, you're going to find that you can conserve your energy, that the universe meets you, that you find the right people or the right opportunities, that you're taking care of more. So again, that you don't have to like exert so much just to get a little bit. I really feel that things are coming into, to create stability through, and a conservation of energy. Like I feel like you're going to be maintained, your lifestyle or whatever, without having to push and fight so hard. So hopefully that makes sense for you. It could come as a result of your own decisions, and maybe the universe is just providing and taking care of you, and maybe you're being like smart with your money, whatever. But whatever it is that you're doing and focusing on, it's coming from a perspective that's less around like fear and self-preservation, and more towards like trust and stability and consistency. So I hope that reframe makes sense for you guys. But yeah, that's what I see. And if this resonates, let me know in the comments down below. I really appreciate you subscribing, liking the video, commenting, hyping it, sharing it with people, because I am trying to grow my channel. So any way that you can offer support, I really appreciate. And I hope you have a beautiful and happy 2026.